Hey, good afternoon, everybody, and thanks for tuning in on this nice, well, decent Saturday. The weather here's for the last few days we've been getting, some overcast and some rain, but I'm glad all of you could be with us today. Jan, Jan from New York City saves money
Hi,
this
Steve. Hi,
year.
everybody.
So, Jan, what's on? So, what we're going to talk about today?
Well, this, as you may remember, during the week, I was impressed, not in necessarily a good way. And this is about like predatory type of credit cards. I know I don't want to sound like that we always talk about credit cards, but this thing happened the other day. I was just, I was just watching something on TV, and this commercial ad came up for yet another type of credit card that I will personally just call it a predatorial type of card. And what do I mean by that? It's sort of like a payday loan. So I didn't want to miss a beat. So I'm going to put on my teacher's glasses, Steve, and I'm going to read this time I want to read this, what I wrote, because I don't want to miss a beat. Okay. All right. There's a card right now that's out there, and basically it's an unsecured credit card. So it's an actual credit card. We don't have to put up any money, not like a secured card. And it's entering the market, and they are luring folks in, especially the vulnerable. They are preying upon the vulnerable people, for example, who happen to have bad credit. Those are the ones they're looking for. And this really bothered me when I saw this. Why? Because one such card that I saw on TV on a commercial ad the other day encourages folks, even states the folks that have bad credit, to sign up for this card. Steve, all they need is a FICO score of 500. I looked into it, dug deep further. They only need a FICO score of 500 to obtain this card. Okay. So if you have a 480 FICO score, you can't get it. But if you have a 510, you could probably 99% get this card. But here's the problem: they're looking for people who are going to be able to make the minimum payment for 6 months in a row. Why even suggest? See, here's the giveaway that this is not good. Why even suggest to the vulnerable type of person, if you make six minimal billing payments 6 months in a row consecutively, guess what the big reward is? They'll double your credit limit. Imagine, I'm like, wait a minute, this is not a big bargain and bonus, because I believe that the interest on it's like somewhere between 27 or 29 or 30%. I'm like, where is this good? So for the vulnerable people who might think, oh my goodness, this is a panacea, this is a dream come true, oh my word, and run out to obtain this type of card. There are various ones out there. I am not a financial advisor. I'm just Jan from New York City who's observant and thinking, would this be something that I would sign up for? Eh. Let's just say this: I would steer clear for signing up for anything like that. The enticement part, there are a few. Oh, even people with very low FICO scores at 500 can get it. Oh, you could pay us back 6 months of minimal payments in a row consecutively, and we'll reward you with a higher credit limit. To me, that's like begging people to go deeper and deeper into the rabbit hole of debt. In my opinion, I would not do any such thing. Just saying, just saying. I did a video upload recently, Steve, about why or how many people stay broke. It's almost like
Oh shoot, your mic, your microphone is off. Okay, I need to let everybody know for some reason her microphone is turned off. It your microphone is turned
I'm
off.
aware of that. It's turning itself off. Are we back?
Yes. So I don't know. Okay, because I don't know if all of that came through or not that you were.
Okay, probably about 85% of what I said came through because I heard you go, oh, shoosh, or something like that. And that
Yeah.
was only a few seconds. Just let it roll. I'm sorry, folks. This is technical problems we have no control of. Just don't get that type of card, Steve,
Yeah.
is what I'm telling the folks. This
Well,
card sounds like a nightmare.
well, it of what you mentioned of it, I got a very good outlay of how this card is. One, yeah, they do sound like they're a very desperate company to get people in. That's that I and a 500 credit score. That means anyone, almost. Well, not I wouldn't say there are people that have lower than that, but that means almost anybody can get this card. That sounds like desperation to me. And I don't know about minimum payment. I do know this. I would want to know in the first billing cycle, I would want to know what my minimum payment is. And I would also like to know how much interest is being charged on that first payment. What I would do is if you can't make the minimum times two, here's what I do. I have had my days that I'm not able to do it. I mean, we all have things come up. Take the minimum payment plus whatever that amount of interest is and add it together. So let's say they charge you $25 interest and your minimum payment is 60. Make an 85 or a little bit above that payment. That way all of that money is going toward the balance that you put on it. I don't So that's interesting. You make 6 minimum payments in their book.
That to me, Steve, was the giveaway of this sounds
Mm,
scammy. This
yeah,
sounds payday loanish to me.
it does. It does.
Encouraging people to make the minimum payment. What are we teaching people? You and I get on here all the time, always encouraging people to do not only make the minimum payment, to not even make a charge unless you're prepared to pay off the balance.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and a lot of people, of course, make the sad mistake of confusing their credit cards with their emergency fund.
'Cause
Uh-uh.
no, because if you're not careful with that particular card, especially, the word DEBT will occur. You're going to have debt. You will.
Yeah,
And
yes.
after 6 months, oh well, Mr. Doe or Miss Doe or whoever, you have $1,000 credit line. Well, you've been doing great on your minimum payments. We're just going to up you another thousand. We're going to give you 2,000. And then next thing you know, you're up to 4 and 6 and 10.
And I thought I read, Steve, if you want to get greener in the gills hearing this one, that this particular card that I saw on the ad, if you read between the lines, I think charges a $9.95 monthly service fee. Are you kidding me? So let's just imagine a person buys something for $50. They decide to charge it. Some people don't like touching their quote cash. They think they're saving money. Then they keep charging and paying the interest and just paying $10 a month towards minimum payment, saying, hey, I'll make the minimum payment for 6 months. What about that sneaky $9.95 fee? Attach that to the 10,
60 bucks.
$50. Yeah.
Almost
So,
$60, yeah.
Steve, it breaks my heart. People who need their money the most unwittingly, because of a lot of verbiage and misleading statements and enticement, like in a predatory way, are losing essential funds. It breaks my heart. The worst people who do not need this should not fall prey to this type of card.
No, no. I honestly, people, anybody out there that's interested in rebuilding your credit or you want to establish credit, that is not the way to go. Go to your credit union, which is what I prefer. I've been with two, I've been with them 20 plus years, one almost going on 30. Go to your financial institution, sit down with somebody, explain your story, and get a secured credit card. That's your best bet. You don't have to worry about the 9.95 fee.
A real secured. This is also secured, Steve. This is another trap on their end.
Oh,
They,
this
they
is okay.
this is an actual secured credit card, but watch out. You've got to read between the lines.
It may be a secured credit card, but like you say, it's got loopholes in it. You got to watch.
That was the reason I had to like get on here and like send this message out. It is a secured card, it is a real credit card. However, there's too many, they're trying to get the vulnerable, the ones that are okay with living off spending on minimum payments. And it's just terrible,
Mhm.
absolutely terrible.
Yeah,
Bad idea, folks. Don't go for it.
it is. Plus, you really, in addition to that 9.95 monthly fee that they want to tack onto you, you don't know your interest rate. You could have a 35% interest rate. That's another. I mean, that's a lot of interest to pay on something. I mean, that's really bad. I mean, especially like you said, if you were saying earlier, if you go out, if you spend a couple of $100s on something, and you make a payment with all that interest, you could have all that money going toward your payment, going toward interest, and maybe only $5 or $7 maybe going toward the balance. And that's no, that's why don't do that. Just go to your financial institution, work with them, work with them and get a secured card that way. And it's not good. And those won't cost you anything. You just get the card, put your own money on it that you choose to make a credit line and work around that. And you yourself can raise the credit line as you go as long as you add more money to it. And you're in control of a secured through a financial institution. I've never had one, but a very good friend of mine has, but I know how it works. So,
Yes, absolutely. That's totally fine. That's something that is, more realistic and will, stave off the
yeah,
problems. Because the biggest problem of people that sit around and make constantly minimal payments month in, month out, they're so used to it, they think they have to do this constantly. Get rid of the original debt.
yeah,
Get rid of the debt.
yeah. No, this particular company, this particular one that you were just talking about a few minutes ago, they sound like a bunch of shysters. They really do. They do.
Yes, it
I,
sounds like a dream, a panacea. What kind of a dream, though? In real life, it's a nightmare. Nightmares are dreams too, but it's a nightmare.
oh, this particular card, maybe not in the beginning, all it may be sunshine, flowers, and rainbows, but as the further you go with it, yeah, it's going to become a nightmare. Then you're not going
What
to know what.
kind of company encourages people to make the minimum payment 6 months in a row? That to me was like when I started smelling fish and something rotting somewhere, like some food rotting in the refrigerator. I said, wait a minute,
No,
let me investigate this thing further. And that's when I researched. I said, "Ooh, no
yeah,
way." Right off the
no,
bat, that's the telltale. What company's going to encourage you to make the minimum payment? Most
yeah.
people really don't want you to, actually.
No, like I said, what I do if I can't do double payment, if I can't do a half payment, what I will do is see what the interest is. Like on one of my cards, I'll share with you, I've got a $117 minimum payment, but the interest they charged me was 23, which is not too bad because the interest rate's only like 2.9. So what I will do is if you add the two numbers together, it's basically 140. Well, I can't make a $234 payment, but I could put about 180 on it. So not only am I making the minimum, I'm also making like almost an additional 70. No, you want to put a little bit more. You don't have to make double all the time, but I would definitely encourage people to make more than the minimum. Yeah, the minimum because that interest can eat you. I mean, if you don't watch. So you gotta.
And the other emphasis, Steve, if you don't mind me interjecting, please, I practically on hands and knees encouraging anybody viewing, please, if you don't have an emergency fund, get an emergency fund.
Yeah.
Just do it. Everyone breathing needs an emergency fund. That's it. There's no if, and, or but.
Yeah.
That's it.
You need something to fall back. Even if it's a couple of thousand to fall back on, it's better than not having nothing at all. I mean,
Right. Right.
you know,
The best
everybody.
rule of thumb is to figure out how much do you normally, not talking about saving how much you normally get as an income every month, but how much do you pay out every month? Write that down. Multiply that by 2 or 3 or 6, what you can realistically work with. Take a percentage out from your monthly income. Don't even think about it. And that's your emergency fund, a realistic number that you could live with.
Yeah. So, you know, this particular card or one similar to it, if you get anything in the mail, rip it up.
And unless your debts are cleared up, don't be opening new accounts.
No.
To me, this is common sense. To me, that's common sense. Get rid of your debts.
Well,
Take, go ahead.
the only time that you're able to get a secured credit card is if you're trying to establish or to rebuild credit. That's the only time. Like if I went down to my financial institution and said, "Hey, I want to open a secured card," they probably wouldn't do it. For one, because I've had regular unsecured credit for so long, in excess of 20 years, and I'm in good standing with all of my cards, everything's paid on time. Most likely they're going to look at me like, "Are you serious? What do you need a secured card for?" Because in their mind's eye, I'm beyond that. You know, that's really something if you're trying to build credit or or if you've been down a bad road and you want to start again, you know, that's where that would. And
Can I
you're
just make one more
Yeah,
additional thing? I don't believe everyone is credit card able type person.
they're not.
Not everyone is a credit card person.
No, they're not. No, there's some people that I know that have gone and messed up their credit 2 and 3 times over. That right there tells me, look, do yourself a favor, just stick with your debit, stick with your cash. Don't ever consider credit because it's not it doesn't fit your lifestyle. And there's a certain responsibility you have to have if you're going to hold a credit card. I mean, there really is.
And also a certain amount of discipline and willpower to
Yeah.
say, oh, because some people are very quite impulsive about, oh, I have to have that $6 cup of coffee, yikes, and then charge it and then pay minimum balance on. I'm like, oh, no, interest on top. It's just a nightmare. To me, that is a nightmare. It's just awful. You could be doing so many other things with that extra money instead of throwing it in the garbage can.
Oh no. If I want, well, like I said, there was a time Dunkin' Donuts about 4 times a week, 257. I'm sure it's more than that now. This was a few years back, like 2020 or 19. This was pre-pandemic. 257 a cup for a large, which wasn't bad. It's cheaper than Starbucks. Which, if you like Starbucks, great. I'm not a fan of their coffee. I just never could acquire a taste for it. Not only that, they don't support the military, therefore I'm out. If it's not a military thing, and this is going to be airing on Memorial Day, so I can't think of a better time to mention the military. Plus, that me being a Navy brat myself. So, but no, just stay at home, go to the store, buy any variety. You can buy a couple of different varieties of coffee. Make it at home for like what, 10 cents a cup?
Absolutely. I just can't see people who really need it the most throwing their money in the garbage can.
I don't either. I don't know how people can go and spend $5 and $6 on a venti or a grande at. They've got little weird little catch names for their cup sizes at Starbucks, but I'm just using that for an example.
And then they'll go to a fast food restaurant later on the day for lunch. And then well, I'm too tired now. Let me pick up something at the drive-through on the way home. Oh my word. Talk about an
Well,
expensive day.
well, a combo meal at a fast food place these days can easily run you $8 and above. That's before tax. So if you go and eat lunch or whatever it is at a fast food place, whether it be a chicken sandwich or a hamburger or whatever, look to pay $8 and above for a combo meal. And that's kind of ridiculous considering a few years ago that same thing was around 5.99, maybe 6 and some change. That's still on the high side, but it's more workable. But now, unless you got about $10, don't even bother going to a fast food place. I mean,
And we have so many convenient ways to cook things. We have the air fryer. We
yeah.
have a toaster oven. We have a microwave.
Mhm.
Really, I mean, it's anyway. This just, in my opinion. Listen, if you have the money, all your ducks are
Oh
lined up
yeah,
in a row. Live your life. Goodness bless you. But if you
yeah,
can't meet your utilities and your rent, and I'm just baffled. Forgive me, but it behooves me, and I'm baffled.
yeah. I mean, that's one thing. If you have good financial, you're in a good place money wise. You make a decent yearly income. Yeah, okay, fine. Yeah, you can have your. But one thing people don't realize too, and I'm not necessarily pointing at fast food when I say this. When you go to even a halfway decent restaurant or above, yeah, they take your order, it goes back in the back, they put it on a little click thing and they spin it around, but you can't see what they're doing to your food. You don't know what's happening back there.
Nope.
But when you're at home, you can see what you're doing, what you're adding, your peppers, your beef, your chicken, you can see what you're doing in front of you.
Yes.
But when you go to a restaurant like that and your ticket has to go to the back kitchen, you don't know what's going on. You don't know what they might put in your food.
Honestly, you are 100% right. And
Yeah.
it's just so much cheaper to just go to the grocery store, buy the ingredients. And if you're tired one night, break open a heat it up. So easy. Heat and eat. What's wrong with that? But this constant eating,
Oh,
dining out is very
I
expensive.
have to share. I got one here. Here we go. Which I absolutely love. I got this. This is a can of Margaret Holmes red beans and rice. And I got that at a store right around the corner from me called Rose IGA. And they had a 2 for $3 sale. Now you can take that and it's almost a blank canvas because you can add it to something else.
Did you say the rice is in that too?
Yeah, right. Red beans and rice.
Wow. I never heard of that. That's great.
Yeah, and you can get it on that website that starts with an A that ends with an
Yeah.
N.
Okay.
They do carry it there. They do sell it by the can, but it's pretty good. It's not. It's tasty. It's got a flavor. What I do is I take it, put it in a bowl, I heat it up for about a minute and a half, 2 minutes, and I'll actually sprinkle some Parmesan cheese on it.
Yum. That sounds really good.
Yeah, and that right there. So I actually ate for $1.50.
And you made a really good extra point about adding that to other ingredients to do something else too.
Oh yeah, you can put it in. You could mix it in with rice aroni. You could
Ground beef, I would
ground beef.
imagine.
You could doctor it up that way. Yeah, it's sort of a blank canvas because you can put chicken in it. You could whatever, but it's good. Or just eat it in its exact state, which is still good. But sometimes I have been known when I really don't feel like cooking anything. I know it may sound like a lazy way out. I'll actually turn to one of my canned goods and just
That's why they're made. They're convenient. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that.
no. So people, there are ways of eating cheap. Another thing that I love to make, I have it here. I do like my lentils, lentil beans.
Yes, me too.
Um, Another cheap thing, $1.29 a bag. But look how many servings I can get out of this bag.
And it's so healthy too.
Right. And in fact, I had lentils yesterday. All I do is I take my lentils, I put water in it, a little, I put some olive oil in it, I put some tomatoes, tomato sauce, and I
Yes.
cook it. And about halfway through, I add a little more olive oil, and then when it reaches toward the end, I add a little more again. Voila! So in about
Delicious.
35, 40 minutes, you got a full meal.
Yes, and you could put that over a bed of rice or a bed of small pasta shells. It's quite good.
Yeah. So there are ways of eating it inexpensively. It doesn't break your pocketbook, and you're still getting a nutritious meal out of it. So, okay. Well, Janet, I can't really think of a whole lot more to say. We really covered, with the credit card that you had mentioned. Avoid, stay away from that. When even though we had the little small technicality, by the time that little dropout had happened, I already got the gist of that card by that point.
Yes,
Yeah,
thank you. And
yeah,
and
so,
there is just one more thing I want to add. I just want to, wish everyone a happy Memorial Day and let us
yeah,
not forget the real reason. It's not about the burgers. It's not about the Frankfurters. It's not about the beach or the cookout. It's
no,
about the men and women who lost their lives for our freedom.
right. People need to realize because of them is the reason why we can do all of those things and have the hamburgers and the hot dogs and all of that because of
Amen
them.
to that.
They're the ones that you really need to pay the respect to. So yeah, I do. In like Jan said, I want to wish everybody a happy Memorial Day. Definitely remember anybody that in your family or someone that served. Definitely pay homage to them. Okay, everybody. I want to thank all of you for tuning in this weekend. We both appreciate it. We appreciate you as well, and definitely be on the lookout next week. I was a little bit hesitant about putting a video up, today, because not because I didn't want to, but because of Memorial Day. I didn't really know how many people would be tuning in. I was a little like, well, I don't know. So I went ahead and did it anyway. But I also have to remember too, the video once it airs on YouTube, it's there to be watched. So I got to remember that too. It can be watched anytime, day, night, 365 days a year once it shows up, on YouTube. But anyway, want to thank everybody for tuning in. I know Jan appreciates you. I know I do. And be on the lookout next week. And Jan and I will see you back then. Have a good one. Bye.